What's going on, guys? I'm gonna do some moving around here for a little bit. We're gonna end up back at that kitchen or that sink pretty shortly, though. We are doing something tonight I don't normally do, which is use some of our less expensive equipment. We are doing something we're calling Bratwurst on a budget. So we've got our little number 8 kitchen series grinder. We've got our 7-pound single speed stuffer. This is the one that works on that vertical screw. And we're gonna make bratwurst out of it. I will give it a little bit. I'm sorry I was late today. I had a showing at the house, so I had to be there until 6:15. So we'll give everybody a couple of minutes. It still looks like it says it's waiting. Did I mess something up in this? Okay, now it is public. Is our Wi-Fi just that bad today? Yeah, the Wi-Fi looks a little bit messed up, but we are gonna go ahead and make bratwurst on a budget today. We're gonna do it with one of our least expensive seasonings called Chicago Brat, which I should have already had out here. It is $7.99 for enough to do 25 pounds. I have to find that. We're gonna make it out of a pork butt. The cheapest I could find was one for $15.99 for the entire pork butt. So we're gonna get a weight on that. We're gonna use our least expensive grinder, our least expensive sausage stuffer, and we'll go ahead and maybe cook it on the grill. But if I have to be honest, I don't think we're gonna get to the grill. Reason being, it is raining, freezing cold, and the rain is sideways. So it's coming all the way under. And I don't know if A, I wanna stand out there, or B, if it's even a good idea to get that smoker going. So we'll see what's going on. Someone's in California. Thanks for joining us from California. No, I did Jerry's for the, so we did a video of kind of the same thing, but this one I wanted to do Chicago Brat. So we will also have a video coming out on what this seasoning is like. For anyone who's never had a Chicago Brat, it's supposed to imitate what a Chicago style hot dog is, and that's pickle. I mean, they put everything on it. Pickles, tomatoes, onions, relish, banana peppers. It's nonstop, and they love their poppy seed buns up there for some reason. Sinister, how we doing? Tex, I almost sold my house this weekend. I was hiding in my neighbor's garage on Friday because it was pouring rain. It's been raining here, incredible. And the people left my house, talked to the real estate agent. She walked away with a huge smile. The couple hugged and then took a selfie in front of my house. So all weekend long, I was operating under the assumption that my house had sold. Turns out they read our HOA agreement and decided that they didn't want to buy the house. So, fun. Actually, before I even get this going, we're gonna go back over to the sink and we're gonna get our pork butts all set up. So I need this other camera free so I can, yeah, see, I didn't get a notification. I wonder why. All right, let's go. I'll show you guys how I generally use the home pack hog casings and get them prepared. This isn't the only way to do it, but it's a good way to do it. Tex, I'm sorry about K-State. I'm assuming you think your season's basically over. And you'd be right. All right, live. Okay, it is up. Let's make sure I'm turned all the way down. Cool. All right, so here I've got my, what the hell does that do? Go back. Here I've got my home pack hog casings. So these are just 100-yard hank packed in salt, and we're gonna pull all of them out because they all come tied up together like this. We're gonna quickly rinse them off in this bowl. And if no one's ever dealt with regular hog casings before, they do have a smell to them. There's just no question about that. It shouldn't be a rank smell, but it is definitely what I would call an unpleasant smell. It's definitely not anything too great. So for those of you who don't follow us on social media, today is Walton's 39th birthday. We have been in business for 39 years, and to celebrate that, I've got a free shipping coupon code for you guys tonight, and I'll type it into chat later, but it is B-Day 25. So the letter B, the word day, and then the number 25. So birthday for 2025. Probably should have made it actually 2025 instead of just 25, but we didn't. So if you've got something you've been wanting to order, now's a good time to do it. Yep, Allie, thank you for doing that. So I'm waiting for our water to get a little bit warm here. We don't need it blazing hot, but we do want to soak these for a good 30 minutes or so in warm water after I go ahead and run a few of them through the water so that they get nice and flushed out. And here I've got a likely candidate. I've only got a couple or one pork butt, so it's not going to take a ton. So I'm just going to pull a few of these out. Let that keep warming up. Because we'll put the rest of that right back in there, right into that salt, so that it can do a future batch, so we don't have to buy more of them. All right, there we go. We're starting to get warmer on the water. Still not anything I would call hot, but warmer. Let's take all these, get them back in that salt. I'll switch this around. Can you guys see that okay? Who's in the Philippines? That really does not want to heat up. Wasn't turned all the way over. So this would be way too strong. We're going to wait for it to get warm, which eventually, hopefully it does. And then we're going to turn it down to somewhere around that. You know, somewhere around that. Just above a trickle. And then basically what we're going to do is find an end. And we could spend a lot of time trying to pull this open with our hands, but there's definitely an easier way to do it. Having two bowls here can be a help, but we don't need them. We're just going to hold this underneath the warm water, and eventually, see what it does? It finds that by itself. It finds where the opening is. That water is going to be way better at it than you're ever going to be. So just make sure we're staying in our bowl. And it is filling up that casing. And we just want it to run right down all the way through. So we'll do it one way. Make sure the water flows all the way through. Then we'll get it the other way, because there are going to be pinpricks in these. The home pack casings are the ones that are more commonly have some holes in them. Stay in there. They're just, you know, they're not going to be the pick of the litter, for lack of a better term. Because most of them are going to go into huge, full hanks. So we're just getting all that out. And I guess you can't really see what it's doing, but as I'm moving this through, do you see that water right there? See it where it pokes out? Because it's got a little rip in it. So we just want to make sure, that's why we go both ways, because we want to make sure we flush all of that salt out from the inside of the casing. And we're just going to do a couple of runs of this because, like I said, we've only got one pork butt. We have probably about, I'm going to guess 7 or 8 pounds of bratwurst to make, and this is probably more than enough to do that. Go ahead and find it. You know it's there. There it is. And I could have pulled that forever, and it never would have gotten all the way down. If you just let the water find the entrance, it'll work. So as you can see, we've got a decent amount of water in there. So we're just gonna let it run all the way through this way. And then we're just gonna reverse that process and run it all the way through the other way. And we're gonna get these in warm water, let them soak for a bit. See how quickly that one found it? It's already filling up. And we're just flushing it. Last one, and then we'll get to deboning that pork butt. That was a long one. This one probably would have been enough. Guess I did not realize how long it was. Is Allie talking about how she left the game and then they lost? Where's the, okay. I didn't have the end there. There we go, you can see it filling up. It's obviously got a little twist there. It got a little knotted, so we're just gonna cut right past that. Nope, stay in there. This is a very big long one, so we wanna make sure that we get a bunch of water into it. And I don't know how much of this you guys can see, actually. I'm hoping a good amount, but we'll lift this up to show you about the amount of water I put in there. And like I said, I'm just gonna run it through. Let it go all the way down. And that is a long run for a home pack. That's usually what I'd see in a 100-yard hank. And there we go. Just gonna fill it up again. The thunder here has been unbelievable all day long. Like incredible amounts of thunder. Okay. So again, we've just got a good amount, wish I was taller here, good amount of water in there, flush it all the way through. Now, our casings are ready to just soak. So we're gonna turn up the heat on the water to full blast. We're gonna let these sit in here while we bone out our pork butt, mix all our seasoning, stuff everything, and then we'll see if the rain is gonna let us get to a point where we can actually do the cooking outside. I have a feeling the answer, unfortunately, is gonna be no, which is okay, because I can still talk about the sausage seasoning from a pretty good area of expertise. I've had a lot of sauce or Chicago brats. The first time I had them, I'll be completely honest, I was not the biggest fan. I didn't think they tasted like much more than like citrus, almost like lemony. Hopefully, Allie, is it just you and Tex talking? Yeah, okay. But I've changed my mind on it, or my taste buds have changed. it really does have a very nice flavor to it and has a lot going on. They're trying to add, you know, a relish taste, a citrus taste, a tomato taste. Did you hear that thunder? So this is what we're dealing with here. So we're just boning out this one single pork butt. Not a very hard thing to do. We're just separating as much of the meat from the bone as possible. Normally I would use a flexible boning knife, but I'm gonna get one anyways. I was going to say that because we're only doing one, it's not the biggest deal, but we might as well get as much of this meat off of here as we can. And because I intentionally chose the cheapest pork butt we could find, it's not the biggest or best pork butt. So I'm definitely having to cut around some bones. Like this whole portion right here, this is all cartilage. So I can't just cut that off and throw it in because that stuff will grind, but you'll never cook it completely. You will feel that in your teeth as you're biting it, and that's not a pleasant experience. So we're just gonna cut that all out. This is a flexible boning knife. It has a really nice bend to it. I'm generally more comfortable with a semi-flex instead of this flexible, just because these can get away from you. You might not think of a knife as something that you might, you know, lose control of, but a flexible boning knife, if you are going too fast and you hit a bone at an unexpected angle, it'll move on you, and that's not a fun day. It has been a good long while since I've cut myself. Probably should not have said that, but too late now, I guess. So we're gonna get as much as we can off of this, and then we're gonna cut everything into pieces small enough to fit down this little number 8 kitchen grinder. So, much smaller than what we would normally do with our number 8 or number 12 processing grinder, right? That would fit down one of our grinders absolutely no problem. To get it down this throat, I probably need to cut that into thirds. The reason being, obviously, the throat has a much narrower diameter. It's not anywhere near as wide. So to prevent that from backing up, we're gonna go ahead and just cut it into nice, long, thin strips. And then we're gonna get ready for not one grind, but 2. And the second grind with this kitchen grinder honestly isn't as bad as what I was expecting it to be. Now, I've done it somewhat recently, and it did a better job than I thought it was going to. Part of that reason is probably because I was babying it to a ridiculous degree, but Sinister heard that one in his house. Yeah, it's been insane. I had a showing at my house, so I was hiding in my neighbor's garage with my dog again, and there was a thunder that just, I mean, you could feel it in your chest. It shook the roof of my neighbor's house. So hopefully those people like rain and thunderstorms and see it as a good sign. But we're gonna grind all this and then we're gonna weigh it all so that we can get the right amount of seasoning per pound of meat. All right. Get this plugged in. Re-glove up. Yep, so B-Day 25. Today is Walton's 39th birthday. Believe it or not, we have been in business for 39 years. And for the rest of the night tonight and tomorrow, if you use coupon code BDAY25 on any order over $50, you will get free shipping. I'm almost positive we made it $50. I am positive we made it $50. All right. Our first grind is going to be through a large 3/8 plate. Our second grind is going to be through this smaller 3/16 plate. Both of these have already been oiled up, so we just got to get to grinding. While I'm doing that, I'm going to check the temperature of the water over here, dump some of that out, and add some more hot water. And the better you do a job of flushing your casings, the better they're going to perform. You're going to get less pinholes, less blowouts. So it's worth taking a couple of extra minutes and getting it right. Okay. Now, during this process, I probably won't be able to hear, or you probably won't be able to hear me much, so I won't say a lot, but I'll try and keep a good eye on the chat and pause it if I need to. Obviously, our tray is much smaller than what it is for the big processing grinder, so we're going to do this in batches. All right. Forward. And this, I'm just using it so it can the auger can grab the meat. Because this throat is so narrow, I will have to use it more than when I do our processing grinders. Not with this one. Sinister MD asked if I recommend chilling the meat first. You don't want to freeze the meat before you use this. Now keep it cold, yes. But we're doing a very small batch here, a single pork butt. I'm not worried about my meat staying out of the cooler because I'll have it done before I would be even close to concerned. What's going on from Iowa? I'll stop at the end of this for a second. So you guys could hear that. Does a pretty good job on pork butts. Number 8 kitchen grinder like this is a good choice for anyone who's just getting into making sausage or wants to do a couple of small wild game animals. I certainly wouldn't recommend it for experienced hunters or people who want to do a few deer a year or anything like that. To beginners, but it works well. It's also not the worst idea in the world. Like I know Process Head and Tex go to deer camps. Not the worst idea in the world to have a backup grinder in case something goes wrong. Or you can grind a little bit more at a time. Hawaii, nice. Stay out of the oceans. Somebody just got eaten in Australia yesterday. Although I imagine living in Hawaii and staying out of the oceans would be like living in Montana and staying out of the mountains. Why? I know there's food grade oil you use for these, but could you use something like avocado oil in a pinch? In a pinch, yes. I've done avocado oil in the past as a test. I really don't like canola or olive oil. The reason being is that it gums up like crazy. but avocado oil does seem to work a little bit better. I don't know why. Maybe it has a different viscosity. I know it has a different smoke point, so maybe it also has a different viscosity. There we go. And all right, so we're done with our pork butt. I don't know what that took, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. So not the quickest process, obviously, but it's definitely doable if you want to do smaller batches. Would I want to do an elk with this thing? No. You'd be here for way too... Did I put that on the right way? Yeah, this side is not oiled, so the other side is. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do an elk with this, but just a little pork butt, absolutely. A small doe even, yeah, that's fine. John, if Process Head invites you, are you gonna? So I really do think so, yes. I'm pretty sure this year I will be able to make it. I've sort of given up on my house selling. Like, I'm not worried about that anymore. And I have somebody who can watch Brutus now. So if he invites me this year, yeah, I'll go and I'll bring some stuff so we can do some good processing. All right, get all of this out of the way. And here is the slow grind. Now what we're gonna do is do this very, very slowly. I'm gonna push small amounts of meat down at a time. Basically the best I've ever heard it described, and I think it was ND Mike. It was either ND Mike or somebody like him who said it's like when a cat is being a jerk and knocks something off a table or something like that. You know how it just goes tink? That's exactly what we're gonna do. We're just gonna tink, tink, very small amounts of meat down the throat. That will make the second grind go much faster. We wanna wait until we see no meat down the throat. We wanna see just that auger, and the meat, we all want it to be past here before we introduce any more meat. If we start using this and just start slamming it down there, all we're gonna do is create back pressure. We're gonna make our grind very slimy, very pink. It won't be nice, it'll be smeared. And we're actually gonna create or make it longer on us. So we're gonna be patient, and that's gonna speed things up. We are gonna have to use this more because we have to get the meat down to engage with the auger. But basically we're just touching it so it goes down and gets grabbed by the auger. What is same place? I don't know what that means. So you can see it's doing a nice job on that second grind. Everything's coming through fairly quickly. But because the auger is so small, it's just gonna take longer. Oh, plate, no. Sorry if I didn't say that. I switched out from a 3/8 to a 3/16. You could go twice through a 3/8 with bratwurst if you want to. I like going through a 3/16 with my second plate. It's gonna take us a couple of minutes longer, but I think it gives a better texture to the finished product. it is fun to use smaller pieces of equipment sometimes. You know, I use these R22 with the one shot, and it makes everything so easy that sometimes I forget what the actual challenges are of using smaller pieces of equipment. I've been spoiled with the 30-pound electric, going back to using a manual single screw stuffer. We'll test, can I still make sausage like a real man? Yeah, the one shot allows us to do both grinds in a single pass. We have the original one shot, which is based on a number 12 plate, but that plate, or that system, it's a grinder head system. It works with the 22, 32, and 12. Then we have one that it's a bigger one, and that one works just with the 22 and 32. It grinds about, I think it's like 20% faster, but either way, it's fast. We'd be well beyond done by now. Because we're not even halfway done with our second grind yet. It is a good gift. Especially if you do a lot of wild game grinding, it does it very, very fast. And hopefully the rain is letting up. And if that is the case, I'll turn on the grill out there. But if that rain is still coming in sideways, I don't want to get the grill soaking wet. And I'm a baby and the rain is cold. So factor both those things in. Bit of John being a baby, bit of John being responsible. Eventually, we're gonna have an oven in here again. So that wouldn't be a problem. We just cook them on a stovetop. And again, I'm not jamming this thing down here. I'm just pressing it down to make sure that that meat gets grabbed by the auger. For anyone who's just joined us in the last couple of minutes, we are having a free shipping coupon good today and tomorrow for Walton's 39th birthday. I don't know if you can see those balloons up there, but Walton's turned 39. We're about to be over the hill. But I don't know about you guys, but I like my 30s better than my 20s. And so far, I like my 40s better than my 30s. It's nice to have some assets, not be poor. Beer and onions would be a good way to do this, yup. We're making progress. We're about 2/3 of the way done. While we're doing this, does anyone have questions? Lord knows doing this doesn't exactly take any mental capacity. Doesn't have to be about this. If you want to know something about the Ottoman Empire, World War I, could help you out, write a book report for you. And again, we're doing this specifically, we're calling it Bratwurst on a budget. We're using one of our least expensive seasonings, we are using our least expensive grinder, and we're using our least expensive sausage stuffer. Partly because we like to use a bunch of our top end stuff, and we realize that not everybody can do that. So we wanted to go to, I don't know, meet those people where they're at and show them that you can make really good sausage with any grinder. I mean, there are people out there making really good sausage with KitchenAid attachments. For their sake, I hope it's small batches, but it can be done. Right, when we're talking about sausage, all of it at its core is just grind, mix, stuff, and then thermal or chemical process. It's all the same stuff. Like if we were doing a 25-pound batch with this, I think I'd go crazy. And we would absolutely be having a... Did you guys hear that? We would absolutely have to be shoveling or shuffling things in and out of a cooler. No, not a manual grinder. I'm not gonna do that. I had to use a manual mixer the other day. I didn't enjoy that. I've become old and soft. Does that say fresh, right? Oh, fresh, yes. This is all fresh. We're doing a 3/8 grind, and then this grind we're doing now is a 3/16 grind. And we're almost done. See, that one I pushed it. I put too much meat down there. I don't know if you could hear the tonal change in the grinder. It went from this higher pitch to more of a... So it's a good reminder just to put less down there. And we are done. All right, we're gonna weigh this up. These white boards weigh 1.7 pounds. So we'll get our scale that we've been testing, subtract 1.7 pounds from whatever we got, I'm betting I've got 6.8 pounds of meat here. I was off badly. So I've got 9.9 pounds. So I have 8.2 pounds of meat right here. All right. Let's get this out of here. And I did not sanitize a mixing. Can I do that all in a bowl? No. So we're gonna hit this with some hard surface sanitizer. And then we're gonna let it sit for a minute. While we do that, we will get the correct amount of our Chicago Brat weighed out. So we have, it's 9.9, so that's 8.2. You can either just go to waltons.com. In fact, let's do that. So I'm gonna go to waltons.com. I'm gonna go to the Chicago Brat. And then if I scroll down on the page a little bit, I'm gonna see, and I have to click view all, I'm gonna see the Chicago Brat seasoning calculator. So I'm gonna replace 5 pounds, which is just what it defaults to 8.2, go, and it's gonna tell me, 8.2, not 82. It is gonna tell me that I need 3.28 ounces of Chicago Brat. So I'm going to use our Escali digital scale. This is the precision model. Here are our nice balloons for our birthday. And I'm gonna weigh out 3.28 pounds of this seasoning. Now, a nice thing about making bratwurst is we really don't need any additives. We can use some if we want. We can add high temp cheese. We could add carrot binder. We could add potato starch if we wanted. If we wanted like a a product yield extender, something like that. But there's not really a reason to do it, or at least you don't have to do it. So I'm not gonna. We're just gonna use seasoning and the meat. And I want 3.28 ounces. Tear that out. And we're at 3.3, so we're gonna call that good. That's been a minute. Go ahead and get this wiped down. Now with the fresh brat, I'm not as concerned, honestly, as I would be with a cured brat for sanitizing this container. It's still a good idea to do it, but the environment we're gonna be cooking these in is nowhere near as conducive to growing nasty little organisms as when we smoke it, right? If we smoke something, we're gonna make it really humid in there, and we're gonna keep it at lower temperatures for longer. And those two things are a breeding ground for bacteria and other microorganisms. So we wanna be really careful there. We wanna be careful here too. We wanna be really careful there just because of those two factors. So let's get this in here. And I'm gonna peek outside real quick, because if that rain stopped, I will get the grill going. But earlier, that rain was coming in sideways. Oh, okay. It looks like it stopped raining. So give me a second. I am gonna go turn that on real fast, and I will be right back. Do I have my keys on me? I do. Sorry about this, guys. I honestly didn't think this was gonna happen. I thought we would be just making these tonight and then cooking them another. Look at that, we've got another gorgeous rainbow. I don't know who was with us last week, but we had one out here then too. Kansas has some really pretty sky, like horizons. unfortunately, that's one of the only things it has that's very pretty. But I was showing somebody a picture of this house, and it said, oh, why do you have to AI the sky in on this? Like, yeah, that's not an AI sky, that's a Kansas sunset. They're pretty gorgeous at night here. All right. Now, hopefully we don't get another round of this coming through and drench this thing. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Let's get another glove on. Get that back to full. Not to brag, but ND has some amazing sunsets. Yeah, yep, North Dakota absolutely does have some beautiful scenery area. It's a beautiful area of the country. All right, so we wanna make sure that we're not getting protein extraction when we mix this all in. So I'm going to be very careful. I'm not going to do my usual ham-fisted mixing. When I'm mixing by hand for a cured product, I actually like to squeeze together as I'm pushing everything to the center. That makes it kind of shoot out between my fingers and front and back. It's just a way to get a little bit more action on the meat. I want to avoid that. So I'm almost gonna more fold everything in than I am gonna mix it, right? I'm gonna very carefully just try to distribute the seasoning evenly throughout all the meat. I'm gonna keep my hands open as I'm doing it. And I just wanna stop as soon as I see that all of the seasoning or all of the meat is kind of the same color, looks like it's had equal contact with the seasoning. And brats are great with high temp cheese too. I mean, you could add a high temp cheese to this, but it's not necessarily a part of a Chicago. So I didn't. And I added some beer. You can add water if you want. Sinister MD, no protein extraction, because protein extraction is going to give us a very specific texture. It'll be more like a snack stick or a hot dog. So part of texture comes from how we grind it. The finer texture, so the smaller plate we go through, that is part of what will give you more of a hot dog or snack stick appearance. But a big part of it is how you mix it. If I just keep mixing this until it's super sticky, when we go to cook it and you bite into it, it won't have that chunky bratwurst texture. It'll have a smooth hot dog texture. We don't want that. All right. So that is literally it. That's all it takes to mix in 7 pounds, or no, 8.2 pounds of meat for something like the Chicago Brat. All right, which one? I'll leave this glove on. Ooh, and now you all get to laugh as I struggle with having to use the 7-pound manual stuffer and do it by myself. So I'm gonna have to lock this down to the bottom with a wood clamp, otherwise it will move on you. And I also, just gonna take this off. I also have to load on these casings, which are the natural non-tubed hog casings, onto this stuffing tube. Basically a bunch of stuff that I don't do much anymore, right? I use our electric stuffer. I use our, it's much bigger. It doesn't rock at all. I use tubed casings. So this is a good reminder of how to make sausage from a traditionalist perspective. All right, let's make sure you guys can see that. Ooh. And this is just a Urin quick grip. I'm gonna get it right around the base, get it down a few times. So that'll be good. That's not going anywhere. I will get my casings And generally, it's a better idea to pick your longest run first. And I believe that to be this one. So we're gonna go right from the water, right onto the casing, okay? And we're gonna leave this casing or this water pretty close, because occasionally we might wanna just grab some more water and put it right back on top of the casing. Now, I'm trying to keep the casing centered as I'm loading it. The reason I'm doing that is the more you can keep this in the center, the quicker it will load. So there's a little bit of back and forth here, right? Like I'm always pulling this way, but every once in a while you'll see me tug it back here with this hand, and that's just to try to keep the casing centered on the diameter of the stuffing tube as I'm going, okay? So there we go, we've got it all loaded. Move that over there, get this stuff out of the way. And I'm gonna grab my okay. So this is not like our dual speed stuffers. This is a single speed stuffer. It works on this central screw system. So every time I turn this, there's an umbrella gear in here that's forcing this down. All right. And I'm gonna stuff these until they're just a little bit understuffed. The reason I'm gonna do that is because I'm gonna twist them into links, and I can always twist it one or two more times. But once I pop a casing, I've got to stop and go all the way back, pull this up to the top. Whoop, that got away from me a little bit. And that takes more time than it does just to spin the casing an extra time or two. Came off the quick grip. Get this back. Now with the 7-pound single speed, you also can't use our suction cup feet. With our 11-pound dual speed or our 7-pound dual speed, you can replace the little rubber feet. Oh, did I break it? You can replace the little rubber feet with suction cup feet. Now that I've touched a bunch of other things, I'll put gloves on, unfortunately. But with the 7-pound, it doesn't have that ability. And again, I mean, there's a reason this is our, you know, if you want to say we have an economy model, it would be this. This whole series or this whole live stream is Bratwurst on a budget. We're using our least expensive sausage stuffer. We're using our least expensive grinder. So mostly we did that because we found ourselves getting a little too bougie. We wanted to remind ourselves that, hey, we can still make anything we want with this less expensive stuff. All right, so we're basically at the end of a run here, and we're getting close to the bottom of this barrel. So I'm gonna take that off, almost trip over this power cord, and back out this piston. It does take a second. We've got a little bit of whatever you want to call that, seepage. A little bit of meat made it up around the piston. All right, let's grab the rest of this, just basically one more handful. Make sure we don't have air pockets in there. Stuff to the side, and I'm not going to be able to do this with gloves though, so. I always feel terrible about the amount of gloves I run through when I do something like this. All right. Find that opening. No. Oh, I had it. Where are you at? There we go. Get that on there. And again, we're just trying to keep this casing centered as we load everything on there. And the more I can keep that end right in the middle of this stuffing tube, the faster everything's gonna go. I'm gonna spin this back down to get it engaged with the meat. As soon as we feel some pressure, we'll get our hand up here, move some of the casing up just to make it a little bit easier to work with. And since we're using smaller runs, which is what you get with the home packs, casing drying out on the tube isn't as big of a deal. But if you're using the larger hanks, occasionally this casing can stay out so long that the water will start evaporating off of it. If that happens, that's why I have that water close. It's a good idea just to grab a little handful of water and kind of sprinkle it or just rub it onto the casing. A wet casing is going to perform much, much better than a dry casing. God, I'm a sissy nowadays. With a dual speed, the 7 or 11 pounds, it is much, much easier and much, much faster. Probably having a broken arm isn't exactly making this any easier, but we do what we can. And Sinister MD, we don't go to the doctor if we can avoid it. We're getting down to the bottom of the canister. Now this won't actually go all the way down. So we're gonna try 1 or 2 more turns, but we don't wanna run that bottom through, right? Yeah, we're down, I think we're down right at the bottom. Yep, we're not getting any more out of that. So we are done. Just about perfect there. You can see these whiskers. This is what these are called here. On the tubed casings, you'll get almost none of those. In the 100-yard hanks, you'll get less of them, but you'll still have some. In the home packs, they're fairly common. The processing facility goes through, selects the best casings. Those get put in a pile for use for the tubed casings. Then the other ones will get selected for the 100-yard hanks. And then finally, the ones that are less desirable will go to this. And the reason for that is fairly obvious, right? They're gonna be a lot less expensive. So they can't get a premium for them. And we're just twisting these in opposite directions. I'm making them kind of short and fat. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'll leave it alone. You can also just twist them like that. Now the advantage to natural casings is, once I cut these are going to, where's my other knife? Right here. These are going to stay nice and closed, right? Like I've got a really nice look to the end of that. If we were using a collagen casing, or really any synthetic casing, we're gonna end up having that open up. As soon as I cut it, and there's no longer that pressure from the casing, keeping that closed, it's gonna open up and you have a tendency to get like a bulb on the end of your sausage when you cook it. So if appearance is very important to you, then the natural casings are the best way to go. If convenience is very important to you, then collagen casings are an absolutely great option. I'm gonna put these out on the grill. I'll be right back for the camera. Make sure I have my keys again. Live in constant fear of getting locked out of this place while a live stream goes on. Oof, well, it got chilly out. Let's do 4. All right, let's get you guys in the fridge. All right. And we're all going outside. Should have started that earlier because the grill is not hot yet and it has gotten chilly out. So I could be here for more than just a couple of minutes, but I'll grab my other phone so I can keep up with chat and take a little break, finish my beer. All right. Yes, I was getting, not winded. Winded's the wrong word. Winded is too strong. I was getting slightly tired. All right, let's see how far behind are you guys? A decent amount, it turns out. Let's see how that looks. Should have just left it at that. Yeah, there's probably no need to go to the gym most nights for me anymore. I have started lifting a little bit again because I noticed that I'm fairly, whatever. I'm not in the same shape that I used to be. So it's more fun to go to the gym. It's easier to go to the gym a lot when you're already in good shape. It's hard to get back into it. And I'm struggling with that. So I'm just doing some workouts from home with heavy weights, but very short, very short. I have no stamina anymore. We do have some pretty clouds though. You can't see them from there, but if we look this way, this makes Kansas look more bleak than it is. It is not a bleak state. It's usually pretty sunny or something going on. This is usually uncommon, although this year it's been pretty. We've gotten more rain this year than I ever remember in my entire life. I've been down here 13 years now, and this is definitely the most rain. Oh, geez. That is, quality of the stream is falling apart. No, you are correct. You are not welcome in the workout motivation group because I know exactly what you will do. Do you know when the rustic French onion brat seasoning will be back in stock? Well, since the quality of this stream is so bad out here, let's go back inside and I can actually look that up for you. We're trying to get some Wi-Fi extenders on our patio so we stop running into this problem. But I don't think they have not like arrived yet. All right, let's get that set back up. And while we are waiting for those to cook, I'll do my best to get Aaron's question answered. We had, I wasn't there for the first year since we've been doing it, but Wichita does something called Zoobilee every year. And it's a thing where the local zoo opens up to vendors and people buy ridiculously priced tickets, come in, get to try a bunch of wares and like food items from different vendors in the Wichita area. It's a great time. Animals are obviously like interested in what's going on. We're always by the giraffes and it's hilarious. But the rustic French onion brat was everybody's favorite. Which makes sense to me because I think it is, of the new bratwurst seasonings we brought in, I think the rustic French onion is the best. I think the Mac Attack brat will be the best seller for a while, but I think once more people find the rustic French onion brat, I believe this will be the one that becomes the most popular. Okay, so we have a bunch of them on order. I don't think I have the ability to see the purchase order. Okay, inventory transactions. Well, that says it's already supposed to be in, and it's definitely not. So hopefully with just in the next couple of days, because this says it should already be here. So hopefully it'll be here anytime. Something flew overhead from the Air Force Base, McConnell. I'm gonna run outside and just get a quick temp on those brats. I know they're not done yet, but I've got my phone out here so I can keep an eye on chat. Happy birthday, ND, that's awesome. I know you had a good birthday, spending some time with some family. That's always a good thing. Well, family and friends. All right, so we are already at 90. One of the things about the Chicago brat that always surprises me is the amount of citrus flavor in it. Now that makes sense because they add all sorts of crazy stuff to their hot dogs in Chicago because they're crazy people. But it does have a lot of other stuff going on. It's a very, I don't even know what's an active seasoning. It has a large amount of flavor to it. And for being $7.99, that's not a bad deal at all. You're rooting for the Bears, given that you're making a Chicago brat. This is going to sound stupid because it is stupid, but I'm still going to say it. I feel like, no. I'm a Redskins Commanders fan. And I feel like there's going to be a forever rivalry between Caleb and Jaden. And I'm obviously on Team Daniels. That guy's unbelievable. I don't think there's going to be too many games that we're out of just because we have him. I mean, there's always a possibility when you have somebody like that on your team that you're going to win the game. So, all right, let's see what's going on. Carlos, I have what may be a stupid question. I'll be making sausage in the Philippines and humidity is unbearable. So your question is not about to be stupid. I'll be doing my best to keep my meat super cold, but to be on the safe side, can I add cure to my fresh sausage? It's not gonna do anything So it could potentially do something, but you have to do other things as well, okay? You need to either hold it for a minimum of 12 hours and a maximum of 24 to 36 after you add it and before you cook it. What that's going to do is it's going to allow the sodium nitrite in the cure to break down into nitric oxide and do a few other things. You're not going to get the full benefit from it. Part of what SureCure does is it adds like the instant safety power right then, but then it also continues that conversion process throughout the life of the snack stick. And since you're making a fresh brat, you won't get that second part, but you could get something from that first part. So yes, you definitely can do that. Absolutely, no question. So not a stupid question at all. I'm just gonna put a note in here again that B-Day 25 is free shipping on orders over 50. Sorry about this, Carlos, but it is only good for the lower 48. The shipping is an unbelievable expense at Walton's right now. I believe I said this on a previous live stream and no one corrected me at least. It is our number one expense beyond even like employee salaries. It's crazy. It's always been up there, but now it's just goes up and up and up and up. So Austin, I know, has been looking at making some changes to how we do shipping to maybe give us some more room on doing more flat rate stuff, or lower flat rate stuff. So we'll see what we can do on that. But yeah, Carlos, also best of luck to that. It's not an easy thing to do. Making a sausage in an incredibly high humidity environment, especially if you're just using seasoning and cure. If you're not doing anything like a pH drop, using like a lactic acid starter kit, like a Bactofirm product, that can definitely help. But that adds a whole other host of problems to it that you may or may not be set up to account for. So I would say go ahead and add your SureCure. That is going to give you some extra protection. Check on those brats again. I have a feeling we're going to be at 122. Oh no. Not that off, 115. Yeah, we're gonna give it about 5 more minutes and then we should be good. Got a comment from Luke Oberdorfer. Any tips on making fibrous casings release from summer sausage cleanly? Absolutely, I do. That is a great question. Fibrous casings can be a huge pain in the butt. Generally, there are a few things that happen that make them that way. When they're used, I don't know, whatever, they can be easy. They're usually easy for me, but when I started doing this, they were always a pain. I'd rip them off and it would take just chunks of the meat with it. The most important thing you can do is make sure you're getting those sausages, summer sausages, whatever it is, into an ice bath right after you're done cooking. And I don't mean some water and some ice. I mean 50% ice, 50% water. You want it cold as you can get it. Get them in there as soon as they're done cooking. What that's gonna do is it will instantly stop the fat from sealing to or congealing to that casing, and it'll release. Now, if you go to pull them, like say you do that, right? And then you vac seal them or you put them in a fridge for a couple of days. When you go to pull them, they start like yanking off some meat again. Throw them right back in an ice bath. They should release very, very easily. The other things that could have happened, and then if that doesn't work, there's really nothing you can do about it. They might not have been soaked long enough. That is definitely a possibility. Or you might have gotten just too much fat out, so you didn't get enough protein extraction during the mixing process. With cured sausages, protein extraction is really important because it's going to envelop the fat in, basically think of the protein as working as molecules, like the lean meat, the non-fat part. or sorry, as Velcro. So they're going to grab around clusters of the fat. That fat's going to melt no matter what you do, because anytime you're cooking a sausage to, if you go to 154 even, that fat is going to fully melt. But if it's wrapped up in the lean proteins and those proteins are binded really well to each other, the fat will have nowhere to go and it will re-solidify right where it is. If you've got a bunch of loosely bound proteins, that fat will go right out in between them, work its way out of your sausage, and it'll get in between the casing and the seasoning. Now, sometimes that can actually make the casing release even easier because it's just like a grease, but you don't want that. The other one is your casings didn't soak long enough, but I think I already said that. Anyways, that was a great question. No, those are not Tums. You know what those are. Those are my nicotine tablets. Don't be ridiculous. Listen, nicotine is good for you. Anyone else have any other questions? Sausage making? That was a great question from Luke. I mean, this is the perfect time to ask questions like that. We also are going to be making some changes to Livestream. The next month we do it, it's going to be Austin and I making a product up here similar to what we're doing now. We're still going to do our giveaways. We're still going to have gift cards, coupon codes, things like that. But we're just going to make something as we're doing it instead of us just sitting there and talking. And then we're going to try and have a lot more guests on the podcast. If there's anyone especially if they're local to Wichita, they don't have to be. We're definitely set up for remote guests, but I do like having guests in the studio. It's just a better conversation. It's a little bit easier. Let us know. We'd love to have people on who have awesome hunting stories, cool processing experience, things like that. We'd really be interested in that. Used 80-20 ground beef, leanest I could find. You wouldn't really want to go any leaner than 20. Here's a problem. Sinister. Wait, let me read that other one first. I made some restructured jerky sticks once in the vacuum sealed. Seems like the fat all got sucked out. Best to cool them first? Absolutely best to cool them first. Yep. You don't want to put a hot product in a vacuum bag. It creates a few problems, moisture in the bag for sure. And then if the product isn't properly set, it can squeeze it too much and press all sorts of things out of it. When you're using ground beef bought from a store, especially if it's the stuff that comes in a tube, you will have some problems getting as good of a bind. You're gonna get fat out more because they usually use a process called hot boning when they're making that ground beef product. The reason for that, the reason it causes problems is they've already started denaturing those proteins through the hot boning product or process. And once a protein is denatured, you're not going to get it to mix and bind again. So sometimes using ground beef bought at the store can cause problems. And I know that, unfortunately, from experience. Yeah, so a few hours is definitely the minimum. I like to if I make snack sticks, I like to pull them out of the smoker. If I can, I like to let them sit for 2 to 4 hours. It's a blooming process. We're gonna see a lot of color development there, some flavor development, but mostly a color development. Then I like to put them in the cooler overnight, take them back out, let them sit out in the air for another hour, something like that, just to dry off from any moisture that was in the cooler before I go ahead and vacuum pack them. And generally, that's how I have my best success with long-term storage products. And whether I do it with a chambered sealer or a chamberless sealer, either way, same thing. Ooh, that is pretty. Oh, no. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Allie? Is Allie still on? Come on. I'm locked out. You gotta be kidding me. Oh my God, I'm locked out. I have to remember I'm also, they can hear me. I'm locked out. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I even said it to myself a bunch of times. We need to come up with a different plan for this. For live streams when I'm coming in and out, we have to do something else. I can't, like, there has to be another option. Okay. Is there any chance the door to shipping is open still? All right, well, I'm still going to check just to see. Right. But okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna log in from my I'm gonna end the live stream, obviously, because that's still going. Can you open it remotely? Oh yes, that would be amazing. Okay. Yep. All right. Call me back. All right. Bye. All right, guys. Allie is going to try and get me remotely logged back in. Sinister MD says, best live stream yet. Allie's trying to get me remotely allowed back in. We're at 148 to 152 degrees on our sausage. So we're basically done. Hopefully she can just hit something and get me back in. So we'll see if there is such a feature. God, I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. I just happened it was going to be, or hoped it would be much later. Oh, so can you hear me? Good Lord, what an idiot. No, I don't have another way of getting in. No, yeah, yep, you can all hear me. Awesome, great. Nope, I've never been to a Philippines open meat market. Yes, I had them in my pocket, Tex, and then I took them out. Oh, I heard a beep. I got it, I'm in. I'm in, baby. I'm in. Oop, Allie, can you hear me? What happened? Let's go, I'm in. I heard a beep beep. What are you talking about? You just called me back right after I heard a beep beep. He saw it. Yep, he saw it. Yep, he saw it and let me in. Okay. All right. Well, I'm in, so we're all good. All right. Thanks. Good. Yep, just let them know I'm in. Yep. And I have my keys again. It's still going. Yeah, it's still going. So, yep, I will tell them hi from you. Alrighty. Bye. All right, sorry about that, guys. We are back. Ooh, that was a big lightning bolt. All right. Temp all of these. I've got 158. 162. And that one is the hottest at, no, that one's at 160. Perfect. So for anyone who didn't know what was going on there, I got locked out of our building and Austin was able to remotely let me back in. Technology is a wonderful thing. Absolutely wonderful thing. Sorry about that. So, all right, last thing, a little review of the taste, and then I've got a bunch of cleaning to do. So I will let you guys go. But first, some flavor. I don't think it was you, Tex. I think it was Allie. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna hold it over me, which is fine. He actually said that I can go ahead and start making his smorgasbord of terrible meats because he has given up on Kansas State's season this year. So immediately we get relish flavor, tomato flavor, onions, a little bit of like maybe definitely a pickle, but also maybe like a pickled pepper. And then some very traditional bratwurst seasoning flavors. We've got some coriander in there. We got some nutmeg. So this is a great mix of a traditional brat trying to do some other things. Holy moly, you guys are far behind me. I did not give up on... I did not give up on Notre Dame at all, Sinister MD. I am still very high on them. I think they lost to a really good Miami team with a first start for a redshirt freshman quarterback and a very strange game plan where the best player on the field, Julian Love, didn't touch the ball more than 4 times until the fourth quarter. So, yeah, I've spent some time thinking about that. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to start getting cleaned up. And we will see you on Friday for the podcast. And then we're going to do another one of these on Monday. What was it? I just decided what Mondays would be. Oh. You might either love Mondays or you might hate it. I'm going to make liver. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet. I might make a liverwurst, but I think what I'm going to do is just coat liver in chicken on the run seasoning and use some beef tallow to pan fry it. Liver's not my favorite thing, but it is super good for you. So if you want to see how you can make liver, and if you're someone who doesn't like it, at least tolerate it, we'll see you next Monday.